only in October. How am I even doing a wrap up right now? In fact, we're in November. But let's talk what I read in October. Hi, Kate here, better known as Reading with Kate Louise. Welcome back to my channel, and I am here to bring you my October reading wrap up and my November hopefuls. So I read a total of 16 books in October. I can't even believe I've done this myself. I have still been working full time. I've had the last week off. We've had some good, we've had some bad, but let's get into what I rated some of these books in October. So the first book that I read in October was Cat and Mouse by MJ Arledge. I rated this 4 stars. There is not a book by this author I have rated less than 4 stars. So this is book number 11 in the D.I. Helen Grace series, and it follows a series of unalivings, as always with the D.I. Helen Grace series, and it is D.I. Helen Grace's job to try and solve it. She has had her struggles throughout this series. The character development has been phenomenal, and honestly I was gasping throughout. If you know this story and this series, you will know that there are a lot of character development going on throughout. But it's a scratching at the window, a tap on the door. What if this time someone is out there? A silent killer stalks the city, targeting those home alone at night, playing a deadly game of cat and mouse with the victims. Honestly, this was bizarre, but I loved it. I will continue to recommend the series. There will be an MJ Arledge ranking video coming eventually once I have read them all. I do still have Forget Me Not, which is book 12 in the series. I also have A Gift for Dying to read and The Wrong Child. But honestly, I could not recommend this series enough. Next up, and my first audiobook pick of the month, is Radio Silence by Alice Oseman. This was the last Alice Oseman I actually had to read, and I did rate it 4 stars. I do love Alice Oseman's writing. She tackles so many important issues, but very sensitively. Like, it's very well written, it's not in your face, but it's also, it still makes you feel. So this follows Frances, who is studying and nothing will stand in her way. Not friends, not a guilty secret, not even the person she is on the inside. Then she meets Allard, and for the first time she's unafraid to be herself. So this actually follows 2 people who, one of them is trying to hide their identity over through a radio station, and he's hurting inside a lot. There is a lot of trigger warnings for mental health in this, so I will give you that going forward. But it was still a lovely story, just to see them come out of their shells, to be themselves, but still to tackle important issues around like young mental health. It's such a stigma to have mental health at a young age, and I think that's just not appropriate. And yeah, so this was the last one I had to read, and again, I have really enjoyed reading these books by Alice Oseman, and I would recommend it, but do check your trigger warnings. Next up was a very much anticipated release for October, and that was The Boyfriend by Freida McFadden. I actually rated this 3 stars. It is coming in a ranking video, and it is a bit of a controversial placing, but this book just, I don't know. I didn't really see the point of the book for the first like 75%. The plot twist is phenomenal, which is why when you watch the ranking video you'll understand why. But the plot twist in this was phenomenal. But the rest of the book was a 2-star rating. I didn't really see the point of it. I didn't see where it was going. I found it a little bit predictable until the plot twist. But it follows a man who you see like in a previous life, and then you see like a woman who starts dating a guy. She's on dating apps, her friend gets unalived, and they think it is the boyfriend. And it just follows several points of view, which is fine. I'm perfectly fine with multiple point of view. But for me, this just didn't hit the mark for a Freida psychological thriller. Like, it wasn't terrible. I would recommend it for the plot twist alone. I think it's very early. Crime readers, like, if you've read as many books as I have that are crime and thriller, maybe don't recommend it so much. But yeah, I don't know. I can't quite put my finger on why. But yeah, just unfortunately didn't quite hit the point for me. So next up, and another audiobook pick. You will find I've listened to a lot of audio this month. I think that is how I've read so much. I love audiobooks for working, journaling, whatever I need to do to kind of calm down. And the next one is Love Story by Lindsay Kelk. So this is my first book by this author. I have since bought another book by her, which you will have seen in my previous video. But this follows 2 people who, one is a school teacher and one is a creative director, but the school teacher is actually a secret author. They end up meeting at an event, and yeah, they just hit it off. I found the story really lovable. I rated it 4 stars. But yeah, Sophie Taylor has a secret, and Joe Walsh is the last person she'd tell. He's devilishly handsome, incredibly hot, and far too sure of himself, but Sophie desperately needs his help. Because she's not just hiding something small, she is Esther Cox, the mysterious romance author the entire world is desperate to unmask. So it is really enjoyable. I really enjoyed this. Like, It's just such a cutesy romance. Obviously there's smut, it's a romance, but I just found it really, really enjoyable and would definitely recommend it, and I'm very excited to read The Christmas Wish by her in December. Next up was an arc that released in the middle of October, and that was The Girl Who Killed Her Mum by McGarvey Black. I did rate this 3 stars. I read Twice on Christmas back in December last year, and I actually really enjoyed it. I gave that one a 4 star. However, this just didn't hit the point for me. I wasn't particularly hooked. I didn't feel inclined to pick it back up. So, for context, a woman believes that she has killed her mum about 10 years ago, I think it is. And basically she can't remember a dot of it. She was extremely high and extremely drunk with a boyfriend that caused her nothing but trouble back when she was a teenager. Now, later in life, it is still haunting her, and she starts to begin to try and find out what's happened. I liked the premise of this book. It just took far too long to get anywhere. Like, it was just a bit dull. I didn't particularly like some of the characters. Yeah, it just didn't hit the point for me, which is very disappointing because I loved Twice on Christmas and I was so excited to pick up this arc. I did read it, and it's still, the premise of it was good, but I just wasn't hooked enough to give it any higher than a 3-star rating. Next on my list of books was Listen for the Lie by Amy Tintera. Now, I only actually purchased this, I think, at the end of September, and it's been staring at me. I've seen so many people hype about it over on the other socials, and I just felt extremely inclined to pick up this book. This follows a girl who, again, doesn't remember allegedly unaliving someone. My name is Lucy Chase, but you already know that, yes, I'm a woman who doesn't remember murdering her best friend. She then seeks on a mission to try and find out what's gone wrong through a podcaster. So I have been told this is probably better to listen to in audio. However, a friend recommended I didn't because the main character in this book actually hears voices, and apparently that narration isn't very good. But the rest of it is podcast form, so it would probably be best as like a mixed media kind of book. But yeah, so she follows with the podcaster to try and figure out what's gone wrong, and she does eventually find out whether she unalived her best friend or not. I really enjoyed this. It was such a quick and easy read. I think I read this in maybe a day or two, but in like 2 sittings maybe. I was on a readathon with a friend at the time. But yeah, it's such an enjoyable read and an absolute recommend. I don't know if I said, but I did rate this 4 stars. Next up, an audiobook choice was The Cinnamon Bun Bookstore by Laurie Gilmore. So if you are unaware, this is the second book in the Dream Harbour series, the first one being Pumpkin Spice Cafe. This book, I decided to pick one audio because I saw it available on BookBeat, which is the app I use for my audiobooks. And this follows Hazel, and secret codes keep appearing in books and basically telling her to live her life before she turns a milestone birthday. I loved this. I rated it 4 stars. It was still a lovely story. I really, really enjoyed listening to this. I love the premise of finding clues in books, and she basically recruits a guy who she doesn't realise is absolutely crazy about her to help her live out these things. The chemistry hits. It's lovely. I cannot wait to pick up Christmas Tree Farm in December. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed the premise of this book. If you haven't picked up this series, I would recommend. There is so much controversy about whether you enjoy this or not, but for me, it's a lovely cutesy romance, so if you like that kind of thing, I'd definitely give this a recommend. Next up was another arc, and that was The Killer Instinct by Kate Wiley. This is book 3 in the Detective Margot Phelan series. I rated this 4 stars. I am so glad that I continued to read this series. So I actually picked all 3 of these books up in an arc form, and the first one for me was only a 3-star rating. This was a 4 star, and I really, really enjoyed it. It follows Margot, whose dad is currently in prison for unaliving umpteen amount of people, a lot. And basically she keeps going because he keeps revealing more and more people that just haven't been found yet. There are a lot of people that still, whose families are waiting on answers. But alongside that, somebody's unalived, and it is exactly like her dad's motive. So she is trying to find out a copycat killer as well as trying to visit her dad, and yeah. It's dramatic. I loved it. Not quite a 5-star rating, but I loved this. It released at the end of October. It was a nice, quick and easy read. Read it within a couple of days. And yeah, just an enjoyable read. Next up was a book I am even shocked to say I have not read yet, and that was The Cross by Steve Kavanagh. As you know, my absolute favourite author is Steve Kavanagh, has been and was the author that got me into reading crime. The Cross is actually a novella. Before even the Eddie Flynn series starts, I rated it 4 stars. I haven't rated any of his books less than 4 stars. It's a bit of a strange book to the point that I've read it and I can't even remember what it's about because it was such a short and easy read. I still enjoyed it. The characters, you almost forget when you've read the rest of the Eddie Flynn series how it all started, so I found it quite nostalgic, just because it's one I've already read. like the rest of the series for, but nonetheless it was a good little starter for the series. It is, or was, only 99p on Kindle, so I'd definitely recommend you go and give it a go. Next up, and another audiobook pick for me, was The Long Game by Elena Armas. I have loved Elena Armas' books, and this was no different. I rated it 4 stars. So it follows Adeline, who is shipped off to a small town to coach a kids' soccer team because she did something a bit silly with the team she currently works for that her dad also owns. There she meets a ex-soccer player, well known, who is trying to hide after a sudden retirement. Obviously they hit it off straight away. It's very grumpy sunshine, very small town romance, but I absolutely adored this. I inhaled this audiobook so much. I just loved the rivalry between them, but then I also loved where the romance went, and just how Adeline developed as a character as well. So she was very much trying to be daddy's girl. She wanted to impress her dad, and the way she developed to realise that there is more to life than pleasing your parents was just so lovely and enjoyable. And yeah, we would absolutely recommend. Next up is a bit of a red herring for me. So I read The Eyes Are the Best Part as part of the Bad Book Club pick. So we read this the last 2 weeks of October. It follows Jai Won, who is an Asian girl who is basically trying to keep her family together after her dad left her mom. And then another guy comes into her life, and quite frankly, I cannot stand George in this book. I struggled to get on with the book, but actually ended up rating it 4 stars. I was very tired when I first started this book, and I don't think I was necessarily slumping because of the book. I was slumping because I was tired. When I actually committed time to this book, I severely enjoyed it. The Eyes Are the Best Part gives a massive clue to the title, so if you're squeamish, I do not recommend it for you. I did cringe at so many parts of this book. Jai Won is quite the character. It supports a lot of like female rights, you know, like standing up for yourself, and I absolutely loved the female power in this. The ending satisfied me to no end. A little bit rushed, but satisfied me to no end nonetheless. And again, if you're not squeamish, would definitely recommend. It's only 289 pages, so quick and easy read. Next up was Dead Med by Freida McFadden. This was the last of the Freida McFadden books I actually had to read in her backlog, and I rated it 4 stars. So this follows a bunch of students and professors at a college of medical school, and the students are in their first year. The college is well known for having a drug problem, and basically a lot of things happen. It is actually in 6 parts, so each part is from a single point of view, and then you change points of view with the same kind of timeline, but obviously from their point of view. I really enjoyed it. I actually felt inclined to keep picking it up, and it actually helped me, I think, spur me into quite a reading thing for the rest of October, because then all I wanted to do was pick up books. And yeah, I just kept wanting to read this. It got me back into reading before work, which I haven't done in so long because I've just been too tired and too busy. So yeah, definitely worth picking up. It was the last of my Freida books, and yeah, definite recommend. Next up, I was extremely lucky to receive an ARC copy of this book. It was my first physical PR package, and I was so excited. And that is The Married Man by K.L. Slater. I rated this 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was quite a thick book. It's actually only 370 pages. The pages are quite thick. I've never read a K.L. Slater, heard a lot of positive things about K.L. Slater, so definitely an author I'm now going to consider going forward. So this follows a woman whose husband disappears after going to take their son kite flying up, sort of high up. I didn't realise this was originally set in Yorkshire, so as a Yorkshire girl, I was like, ooh. So it obviously follows, I think, 11 years on. 11 years on. He's obviously been declared dead 7 years later, as per the rules of the law. But not his older, it seems. It was a bit of a plan to get him out of a sticky situation. However, when she discovers that he's actually married and expecting a baby with his wife, or he's engaged, sorry, she starts to wonder what is going on. This is not what it seems. The twists in this were phenomenal. I did not see it coming, and I really thoroughly enjoyed this. Solid 4 star. Just didn't quite hit the points. It took a while to get going at the beginning, but I am so lucky to have received this, and this actually released on November 1st. This was my last audiobook of October, and that is Night Shift by Annie Crown, and I rated it 4 stars. I really enjoyed this book. It follows Kendall, who is a library worker and is always working on the night shift, hence the title of the book. In comes Vincent, who wants some recommendations of books for his course, and they hit it off instantly. The instant chemistry in this is amazing. It is spicy, I will give you that, but it was enjoyable. I listened to it on audio in about 2 days. I just really enjoyed their relationship. There's a bit of a miscommunication trope going on in there, but I just generally loved their relationship. It wasn't quite a 5-star just because there was a lot of up and down with it, but excuse me. I did really, really enjoy this book, and yeah, I'm just so glad that I picked it up, and I would definitely recommend it. On to my second to last book of the month, and that was Blood Like Mine by Stuart Neville. This was recommended to me under Bookish Bingo prompt, and I did enjoy it. It was 4 stars. I think I misunderstood what this book was about. So I assumed it was a crime thriller book, went in thinking, oh, I've heard so many good things about this, it's really gripping, it's twisty, I'm going to love it. It's a horror, FYI. I'm not saying I'm against horror, but I did not expect this to go the way it went. So I think my reactions were a little unjust because I didn't actually read the blurb. I went in on the recommendation alone. It was 99p on Kindle. What's not to love? So it follows a woman who is running away from committing a series of murders, basically. But what you don't realise is that her daughter needs her mum to come alive so that she can eat. Let's just say she's a vampire. So basically we discover that her daughter died many, many years ago, and actually she's come back to life. The ending of this book had me reeling in a not necessarily good way, which is why I dropped it down to a 4. And I did struggle to pick it up initially at the beginning, but this is definitely a strange concept, but I really did surprisingly enjoy it. It was a bit grim at times, but yeah, the drama in this had me hooked towards the end of the book. I did finish it within a day or two, so I can't really complain, but definitely a recommend. And we are finally on to the last book of October, and that is Till Death Do Us Part by Laurie Elizabeth Flynn. I only rated this 3 stars. It was not the best way to end the month. I literally finished this on October 31st at about 10 p.m. I thought, let's pick up a short book to finish the month, it's fine. It was not that short, unfortunately, and yeah, I don't know. It follows a woman who got married pretty quickly into a relationship. A week later, he's gone. And I don't really know what to expect about that. I did expect this to be a crime thriller, but actually when I went to rate it on Fable, it was like, how spicy was it? And I was like, is it classed as a romance? So I'm not even sure what the genre is on this, guys. But I really struggled. I flipped to audio at one point because I was really, really struggling to listen to this book, and I was just like, I could be doing so many other things right now. The ending did pick up for me. It did start to make sense, but I just felt I didn't feel hooked from the beginning, so it wasn't quite a 5-star read for me. I was so kindly gifted this by HarperCollins, and I am extremely grateful, obviously, for that. But yeah, I can't really put words to it, but not my favourite read of the month. So those are my reads for October. Please let me know in the comments if you've read any of them, but I do want to talk about some of my November hopefuls. I have obviously already started at the time of recording this a couple of my books. Excuse the dog in the background. I have started a couple of these books, but I do have a few books lined up that I do want to read in November, so let's talk about them. So I am currently in a bit of a mood reading vibe, so I haven't really got many books on my TBR for November, just because I don't know where the month will take me. I read a lot of books last month as well, and I do want to kind of go down the route of spending a bit more time doing other things. But the first book, which is one that I've already started reading, and that is Binding 13 by Chloe Walsh. It has been sat on my TBR for so long, and the last week of October I have felt so inclined to pick up this book, and I thought no, because I need to be able to finish it before the end of the month. So I have already started this on November 1st, and I am extremely excited to see where that goes. I've heard so many hype things about the Boys of Tommen series, so this one I believe follows Johnny and Shannon. A lot of people hype about this. I haven't really read much about it, I am going on the hype, but we'll see how that goes. It is over 600 pages, and the text is quite small. I have also got it on my Kindle, so we will see how that goes. Next up, I have already started an audiobook for this month, and that is Fall Into You. So this is on my Kindle, but I have picked it up in audios. I've seen it's come available on BookBeats, which again is a service I've talked about before. I haven't really heard much about this. It's an autumnal read. We are still in autumn, so I've started November with it. It is a romance, so that's all I can really tell you about it, but I have started listening to it, and at time of recording this I'm a couple of hours in, and I'm really enjoying that the relationship has hit straight off. There's instant chemistry. There's a bit of a forbidden romance / brother's best friend trope going on. So yeah, I am really, really looking forward to getting into that a bit more. I am enjoying listening to it. But yeah, that's definitely my first audio pick. I haven't decided on any other audios at this point, so we'll see how the rest of the month takes us on that one. Next up is the book club pick. So obviously every month I read with the Bad Book Club. And this month's pick is Let's Split Up by Bill Wood. Bill Wood is a fellow BookToker. He is the most genuine person you will ever come across. I'm so excited to read this. I'm not sure how I feel about having to stop it every week, but we'll see how that goes. But this is a YA, I believe. When hot, it couple Brad and Shelley are brutally murdered in a manor on the edge of town. A group of friends investigate. A theory spreads around town as fast as the fire on the day of the killings. The old ghoul who haunts the house after his own murder has finally taken revenge. As Cam, Jonesy, Amber and the new girl Buffy search for clues, the rumours feel closer to the truth than they ever dared think possible. And as they enter the derelict building themselves, the idea of splitting up to find evidence will prove to be the best or worst decision of all. Now, I've been told that this is a bit of a Scooby-Doo vibe, so I'm quite excited for that. Obviously, I'll let you know in November how this goes, because I know I will be picking this one up. But yeah, very, very excited. This is very much my most excited read of November. And the last book I know I want to read in November is The Dream Hut by T.M. Logan. I believe this is a reasonably recent release of his. I loved reading The Curfew. I also enjoyed The Holiday, but not as much. It was only a 3-star. This is actually on KU, and then I was so kindly gifted it in October, so it was rude for me not to pick it up this month. I've been thinking about it, and I think I want a quick and easy crime, so I will be picking this up at some point in the month of November. I'll read the blurb for you. So Adam and Jess, along with their 3 children, move into a beautiful new home, a rambling Victorian house in a nice neighbourhood, right at the top of their price range. Then Adam discovers a door hidden behind a fitted wardrobe concealing a secret room. But like that house, Adam has his secrets too, and soon he will find himself setting in motion a series of events that will place his family in terrible danger. Sounds like my kind of vibe, not gonna lie. So obviously I'll come back to you at the end of November and let you know how this goes. So I'm definitely going to leave my November hopefuls there. I don't actually know what I want to read. I have spent some time this morning, the 1st of November, actually deciding what I want to read, and I struggled and ended up with Binding 13 as a choice. So I think I'm just going to go with the flow this month. I did surprise myself reading 16 books this month, so who knows where the rest of the month will go for November. But yeah, that is my wrap up, that is my hopefuls. As always guys, please let me know in the comments if you have read any of the books in October, if you agree or disagree with my opinion. I'm all for opinions on books, we are all different. And yeah, let me know if you've read any of the books I intend to read in November. But as always guys, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video.